So, just like the last time, I sit within four walls, and outside my window there is this Krakow's housing block. And it's, this post-brutalist marvel. It is worlds away from the Upper West Side of Manhattan, from the 11th floor of American Gardens building, where Patrick Bateman laid out his perfectly pressed suits. Because today, American Psycho will be our main topic of discussion. I think about how over the course of 400 pages, Bret Easton Ellis put me through this complete desensitization, for lack of a better word, and the subconscious enforcement of aesthetic consistency, and I would call it aesthetics of nothing. All of that, of course, happened very gradually, because this book, I think almost 1/3 of this book, is absolute hilarity. And today we will talk a little bit about, masculinity, about marketing. There will be a lot of that. But let's go through it gradually, like I said. Like the first 100 pages are pure hilarity. Hyper-toxic masculinity, seen through the lens of yuppie culture, which today would probably blend effortlessly into the crowd as just another branch of the coaching brainwash machine. The toxic positivity movements, the hustle, the grind cultures, there's so much of that right now. Frat bros for life, nice guys, bad boys, misogynists united, black metal only for elite, LinkedIn horsemen of success, MLM bros. You could keep listing that forever and you won't run out of ideas. And, with Bateman, he is a construct, sure. Bret wrote it himself. And he is this construct through which Alice filters all of our garbage, I would say. He crams into his head all of that, depraved images, these sexual fantasies, that in the end, it feels like nothing more than wet dream of impotence. Because you feel like that, when you read that book. Consumerism, commerce, buzzwords, Pinterest, overnight lines in around 2016 for Yeezy boosts on Stradomska Street, old Tumblr, back in the day where you could still post, porn pictures, PS5 Pro with a HDD, Snapchat nudes, best gore, cartel executions, your girlfriend's friends on Insta, abolish the patriarchy, but first let's drink matcha and let's try out this new swimsuit from Misbehave, death to incels. Cool, right? Because that's all there is to it. Because I no longer know where the fiction begins and where it ends. And that was the whole point of the book. Because I see it everywhere. and my fingers like kind of tremble when I realize that that my mind is cluttered with the same overstimulated collages. Whenever I start, to analyze what pop culture leaves imprinted in my memory, in our memory, collectively, and that's the thing, because after all, we are, and I know it will sound a little bit silly, but we are just walking corpses, waiting for the autopsy of capitalist emptiness. And I would like to break it down a little bit here. I heard this very interesting theory that in terms of male movements, there are like two, I would say, statues that did a lot of harm. Of course, Patrick Bateman. And the second one is called Peaky Blinders, or to be more specific, Thomas Shelby. Because there is a lot of that hyper masculine energy coming from let's say both protagonists. But in case of Patrick Bateman, there's pretty much no redeeming quality to him. Straight away, you read the book and you understand that you hate the guy from the very first pages. So what happened is that for some reason he started resonating with, with a very specific breed of males. And he became almost like an icon. And here lies the quintessential truth about it. I don't know if any of you guys played Metal Gear Solid. To be specific, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. But there was this very interesting, I would say, it was almost like a main plot, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it was about, internet and memes, and pretty much how through this amount of garbage, info dump, you are able to control, you are able to sway public mind. So what happened with Patrick Bateman is in a way kind of interconnected. What I mean by that is that when you look at all the memes surrounding American Psycho, you start to realize that slowly people, they got used to him. They started liking him. He became like an icon. And slowly, this, without a context, without a broader context, like you see this handsome-ish, Bruce Wayne-ish type doing some hilarious morning routine, and you start to fancy his life. You start to envy it slowly, bit by bit. You base your personality around him. You start treating him like some sort of like role model even. And one might say that, oh, this is such a horseshit, no one does it, yeah, it is like that. Like, it's enough to watch groups like Jokers United and you see people really like making Arthur Fleck their whole personality of 2020 or 19 or whatever. It really happened. And it's so interesting how diluting the message is this way of really taking control over something, of specific group of people. And it happens everywhere. It happens with politics, it happens with religion. And the thing is that, I've read this book and I felt nothing. Like, that was the whole point of that. That gradually you just lose any senses. Like, you don't feel anymore this gratuitous violence, it creates a limbo in you, because it's juxtaposed with this almost like extreme descriptions of clothes, of luxury, of things you want to have. This lifestyle that seems unattainable to you, and you want to be a part of that to some way. You want to treat people like that. I see it through the eyes of people idolizing Bateman, even though it's almost impossible to me to really comprehend that. And then I realized how screwed we are, because it's I like to use the term guinea pigs, especially in the context of millennials. And it may sound silly, whatever. The thing with millennials is that we were born in in this midpoint between fully digital era, and we still had this I think this kind of soft childhood without phones, without social media. Probably like the first time I signed up to Facebook was around high school, maybe my freshman year or so, and it still wasn't that present because not many people had fancy phones during that time. What I mean by that, what happened is the internet started to become this tube sites filled space of depravity, and it's so easy to break a mind, to break a spirit, to break you with just being overstimulated with porn, with aesthetics of hate, of violence, of degeneracy in a way, and you start to become numb. And there is this whole wave of men who feel less, yet they try to overcompensate that with looking a specific way, of trying to reach a specific way, trying to get specific things. And I treat Patrick Bateman as kind of a symbol that he kind of jumped over different generations, causing the same type of havoc. People feel very similarly about Jordan Belfort. It's like you're watching the Wolf of Wall Street, and no matter how it ended, you still envy that first half. Yeah, you would like that life, and I know a lot of people who like that life. There's so many MLM pyramid schemes, network marketing companies, and their whole aesthetics is that. You just gotta look at it for what it is. You are being lied to. We all are being lied to, and it's not like some scream of insane person. And it's not about once opens a book and there is this third eye situation. No, it's all about reading between the lines and looking at things for how they are. And it's ugly, man. And I don't think it's going to change. But the thing is, every day you can be less shitty.